Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-hosts Jeff Mohr, Crystal Cleveland, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and we'll take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Bring Out the Fear. Great title. All right. Let me introduce the crew before we get into the review, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Just got back from a drive across the frozen tundra in central Iowa, where the wind was a howling and the snow was outrageous.
It sounds like put that to a tune, you'd be on Hee Haw. So, all right.
Well, it's a Bob Dylan song, actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Okay.
One too far off. All right. Also joining us is Crystal Cleveland, the Living Dead Girl. How you doing?
I'm great. I think is this real? Is this really happening? I don't know. I can't come up with something good. You know, I'm not good at these intros.
When it starts over again, it'll start over again, and you'll be going, "What?"
Next.
Also joining this week is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr.
Hi, my name's Crystal, and I don't know what to say. Hi, how you guys?
What?
Oh, shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, a moment.
It's
Start
on.
out
Hey,
on.
Crystal.
Come on.
Hey, it was all a dream, okay? It didn't happen. It was all in your head.
It was the
This
tree
didn't happen.
monster.
You're not wearing any rings, are you?
Where's the stick man? All right, rounding out the crew
Stick face.
is the one and only Dave Dreher.
You know, I just thought about it. I should have just put a stump with a hat on it here for this review.
Oh my God.
That would have been great. I'm sorry, I just now thought about it.
That would have been
Maybe
insane.
that would have been so much fun. Sometimes the ideas just don't come quick enough.
I know.
In hindsight. All right. So what we're here to do is we're going to review Bring Out the Fear. We're going to start off giving you our first impressions. Those first impressions will be spoiler free. And then we'll dive into a discussion. We might get into a spoiler or two. And then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5. 1 to 5, got to do it smaller. And our favorite scene. It's going to be fun. All right. And we hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others we have on the site. If you do, please hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click will help us get to our goal of 5,000 subscribers.
Yay.
Yes. Thank you. All right, let's take a look at the card and get into this. All right, Bring Out the Fear from 2023. Actually, it's a 2020 or 2021, 2022 film, but it's coming out now from the Horror Collective. It's available on VOD beginning January 3rd, so it's out now, 2023. Synopsis is explores a doomed relationship on its final day. Padoom. Written and directed by Richard Walters. Cast is it Ciara Bailey, James Devlin, and Tad Morari. And let's get into it. Jeff Mohr, sir. Pray tell. What was your first impression of Bring Out the Fear?
Not my cup of tea.
Not my cup of tea.
I don't know. It's the kind of thing that there are movies like this that I've really enjoyed, but for some reason I didn't like either one of the characters, and it seemed like it just kind of went on. I like the forest setting and everything, but yet even then it seemed like, I don't know if there was some poorly chosen shots or what it was, but there were some shots where it looked like I could see, like in the background was a big open area or a road or something, like they weren't that far from the edge. But anyway,
they weren't far from the beaten path.
I digress. I didn't care for it, and I have no friggin' idea really what was going on, other than they were in kind of a they explore a doomed relationship. I don't know. I guess the forest manifested their doomed relationship in interactions. And the little stump guys were kind of creepy the first time, but after that,
Yeah.
Stump guys. That was great.
well, they, anyway, I'm sorry. I don't.
Yeah.
There's nothing.
I
particularly
understand.
wrong with the technical aspects of the film. I just didn't care for the story or the characters.
That's a big
all there
deal.
is
That's
to
a
it.
big deal. All right. Christopher G. Mohr, sir. What was your first impression of Bring Out the Fear?
He's already got stank face.
Thank face. We got thank face.
aka Ground Stump Day. Here's the thing. When you create a concept where the concept is more about the people than it is about other things, because it's all of it takes place in the forest. There's not a lot of really big production value. Other than somebody just throwing a stump and drawing a face on it. There's not a lot. So when it comes down to it being about the conversations and the relationship, and that's your core to it, and it doesn't work, you're in trouble. And this film was bland, and boring, and I agree with Jeff. The characters are not interesting. I really didn't care about the characters. I would have preferred they died in the first 5 minutes just because they're so annoying. And I don't see any kind of relationship, and then they have that, there's like an opening scene with another character that, and then like, but there's no, and it's bad acting, and there's really no, what is the reasoning why this is happening? They don't give any kind of reasoning. It's just more about like, oh, that's cool. We'll do some crazy, hallucination type stuff or dream stuff or whatever. And the movie is lost at its characters. The story gets lost more than the characters do, because there's no real point to it, other than them like, oh, we want to be like M. Night. And it doesn't work. So I don't even understand what happened or what was the reasoning. I think there could have been potential maybe to create some kind of mythology, what is this stuntman type thing? And I know it had a lot to do with the issues both of them had, but yeah, I don't understand. I have no understand what the reasoning behind what was the basis for why the story played out the way it did. Mm-hmm. And then by the end, you're like, there's really no reasoning by it. It's kind of a waste of a movie by the end of it, because there's nothing to it. The characters aren't great. The dialogue isn't great. You have the repetition of your location. So there's not really anything to really, other than these crazy stump things that, my younger cousin can make that. So there's not anything of any kind of value that kind of really, pardon the pun, grounds it to where it makes any kind of sense. So yeah, this movie's a mess.
A mess. I can go with that. Crystal, what was your first impression of Bring Out the Fear?
Okay, so I feel so bad for this filmmaker. I don't know who it is, okay, but I can tell it's very, very low budget. They tried to make something with 2 actors and a very, very, very low budget and a forest, and make it scary, and unfortunately it didn't work. The acting was not great in most of it. There were some spots where I was like, oh, that was good. Oh, that was okay. But overall, not great. And that, considering this film heavily relies on its characters, that's a problem. Sometimes you can get away, like they weren't horrible, but considering what this movie is, it's very important. I didn't like the characters at all. I didn't like either one of them. There was nothing particularly great or wonderful. I didn't see their connection. I felt like, to be completely honest with you, I don't know how many things this director has directed, but I feel like they haven't done much because I don't think they got enough shots. I don't think that they got the shots that they needed in order to edit it properly, because I was looking at some of the shots and like some of them are really long. And I think sometimes you do that when you don't have the cuts to, to edit in. And I feel like maybe they just need some more work. Maybe they just need a little bit more practice. And did they write it too? Didn't they write it too?
No.
Probably.
Yeah, written and directed.
You
This
know?
is,
And I get it. Like, it's hard to direct someone else's material, but that might be better for them to direct someone else's material,
There
to
you
try
go.
something different.
this just so you know, this is the 8th credit and their 3rd feature.
Oh, fudge. That's kind of a lot.
And they
Yeah,
actually
maybe-
have a lot of credits as an editor too.
Yes.
The director.
Oh.
Oof.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate.
Sorry, I didn't mean it to go
No,
that way. I just wanted to share that.
I did not expect that,
It was
but
sort of like oh yeah.
okay. Well,
Should we
I
move
feel
on?
like
You wanna
I
move
guess
on?
the reason why I'm feeling kind of bad panning this movie is I feel like
Right.
there was a lot of heart behind it, but it didn't translate well on screen. So it didn't work. And actually, I found myself like halfway in and I was like, is this going to end? Are they going to put me out of my misery? And they didn't. And then they continued. And then they teased me. They teased me with an end, and then they didn't deliver. And then they did it again. So I didn't like it.
Didn't like it.
That is all.
That is all. Dave Dreher.
Short and sweet.
This is going to be interesting. What was your first impression of Bring Out the Dead? Bring Out the Dead.
Uh,
Bring Out the Fear. Sorry.
I
out
was
the
gonna say, I'm still waiting for them to bring out the fear. The fear never arrived. The fear must still be stored somewhere. But one nice thing about going last on these shows is I can just say I pretty much agree with everybody. I think we hit on all there is to say about this. There are so many other films that do this same type of storyline so much better. And I think Arbor Demon comes to mind, and a couple others of the No Escaping the Woods kind of thing. Blair Witch, of course, kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, this was nothing new, and they did other than the little tree creature man, which made me laugh out loud just because it looked so funny. There was really nothing to talk about with this. There really isn't. So yeah, my first impression was another waste of my time.
Oh, ow. That's probably more damning than everything else we said. Okay, so this movie, it did some things that I really don't like. And that's the dream within a dream at one point, and then the false ending. And those things kind of pissed me off. And that's what happened with this movie. It pissed me off. Unfortunately, I mean, I get what they're, I don't get what they're after. Actually, that was one of the notes. It was like, what's the point of the film? And I'm not sure I got it. I was interested enough to keep looking for it until I really got pissed off toward the end with the false ending with the ring. Then I was done. I checked out at that point. I mean, I watched the rest of it, but I didn't give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
So two things I also found frustrating along the way till we got that is that the dialogue is kind of bad. Especially that opening scene inside the convenience store.
Yeah.
That scene was poorly done from every aspect, and from the acting to the positioning of the camera to
staging.
and the dialogue. It was excruciating. It got better. It made me appreciate the rest of the scenes between the two, because that one was so bad. Although there are, anyway, I think I'm with Crystal. Like at times it's like, oh yeah, and then it was like, oh no. I think you get the idea that this movie, I didn't really like it either. I really think it has a lot of problems. And I will.
What was the beginning scene? What was that?
'Cause-
What did that have to do with
Well,
any of this?
now we're in Spoilerville.
We are in
Yeah,
spoilers.
sorry.
yes.
He's
Yeah.
the guy that she slept with when she got drunk. That's what it.
No, the beginning scene with the dude in the forest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
well, at first I thought was that him?
Oh, the beginning scene.
The
Yeah.
beginning
Yeah.
scene, yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there's like no background on this. So I'm assuming the forest is the problem, but I think it's silly. It's such a silly concept if the forest is actually the problem, because we see this guy at the beginning get whatever happened to him. And I'm like, so this is where you decided to take your girlfriend to propose to her? You think there'd be some sort of,
I've seen another
story
movie that
bothers
does
me.
very similar, where they take the person out to like a remote area to propose, and it goes south.
Well, we've seen lots of movies where they go out there and they get stuck and they keep repeating where they're going, and Blair Witch and other things that happens too. But yeah, but I mean, first of all, I just thought it was stupid. You paid money for a ring and you're gonna just throw it.
Oh, that
I
was
was like, I'd go pawn it or to go sell it back. But then it's like I kept expecting them to be some kind of Blair Witch type mythology. What are these kind of
Yeah.
like stunt
Right.
characters, and maybe there was be some kind of reasoning that like it maybe jilted love causes this supernatural
that I
force
could
to
get
happen,
behind, yeah.
and,
Mhm.
and there's nothing there. And then
Mhm.
then it's like they had the first like.
Well, I mean,
There's first dream sequence. I got mad because like,
I did too.
they're saying, oh, well, if she'd only put that ring on her finger, everything would have been fine. And
Yeah.
I got mad at the movie. I was like, if this is the
Oh,
way the
that-
movie ends,
Mhm.
if this is how it magically ends, I'm gonna be
Yeah, I
very
didn't-
pissed.
I didn't get the ring at all because I felt like there was some sort of, like the forest had some sort of persona or haunting or demon possessed or something that fed off their negative vibes, for lack of a better reason. But then the ring,
that didn't
Yeah,
make sense. It gave life to their inner demons, right? Because he
Well-
was
Right.
jealous and she was whatever she was.
Well, yeah, I mean, I felt like, yeah, it definitely. I mean, there was elements that felt a little bit influenced, a little bit of Evil Dead, and a little bit of Jacob's Ladder when the guy's head does that thing. One part, it's like not even done well. And I felt like when they hear the sounds of the trees, I was like, they've seen Evil Dead. This is like, but then, yeah, I just felt like if they'd had some additional character in the forest or some kind of thing to explain what's going on or why this is happening, it would have given more information for me to understand it. But to me, it just seemed like, yeah, just all their insecurities.
They could have done that with the dialogue. The dialogue, if it had more meat to it, could have done it. I mean, they had all these. They had two characters doing basically a two-hander, and the dialogue just didn't bring anything.
Okay, so for a minute there, how they're both recovering, like addicts or whatever. I thought that at one point when she looked down on all the bottles, that they had maybe gone on some sort of bender.
That was their bottles.
Then,
okay.
Yeah, with all the alcohol, because they were, they had fallen off the wagon, and that would have been a better way to take the story, I think, than how it went. I mean,
Yeah,
because
are they supposed to be unreliable narrators?
Well, I did think it was clever how he used the color grading to determine where we were kind of in the story. Like, were you supposed to be even still, though it still was not actually legit. Were you supposed to be in the real world, or were you supposed to be in that forest world where it was really dark? The color grading was really dark. That was kind of okay. That was kind of cool. Something different, but I'm so confused.
Well, they kept hearing the whispering, which is their conversations. They're arguing in the woods as well. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. Because it seemed like once he threw that ring, that opened up that whole them being stuck in this sort of forever loop. But there's no explanation. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think maybe conversations.
Who were we supposed to root for, right? I couldn't figure out.
Well, there's really nobody. I mean, they're both not really great people. And also it's like, I'm sorry, when they're all acting all lovey-dovey. It was cringeworthy. I was like, I don't believe
Oh,
any
the
of this.
song. No, actually, let me tell you, when they
The
like
song?
sat and then they started in with that song, like how much
Played the
can a
song.
heart? I was like, oh hell no. Oh God, I hate y'all for making me watch this. Like that, I was like, ugh, gross,
That's all I need.
gross. Like they weren't that couple. They had literally just had this huge fight, and then yet, mm-mm,
And then to me,
mm-mm.
it really put a sour note when when they were suggesting for a short bit of time that if she would have said yes, everything would have worked out
Would have
peachy
been
keen.
okay.
And that
That was-
felt
Yeah.
that felt so
BS.
creepy in the wrong way, right?
Yep.
It felt like
If she'd been a good girl,
right,
Yeah.
right.
put
And
that
that
ring
just-
on her finger,
and
everything would have
I
been fine.
didn't appreciate that. At least not the way
Mm-mm.
they were presenting it, right? It
No.
just came across incorrect.
Although
Like
I
she should just say yes and be thankful
Yeah.
that.
although
Mhm.
although I kind of wanted a weird 70s ending. I kind of wish that when she I don't even know if she killed him in real life, but
I hope she did.
if
That's
she
what
killed
I
him in
life,
real
no,
life,
Yeah.
and then she would have been taken to jail for drinking and
I thought that's
killing
what I
him when
thought.
she was.
See,
I thought
yes,
she
like
was going to
they
be
went on a
arrested for
bender.
killing him because she was drunk.
Yes.
And but
See,
that never happened.
that would have been
know?
wonderful. That's what I thought. I thought they went on a bender and she got, and they fought and then she killed him.
Well,
Right.
yeah. I mean, thing is, it feels like one of those films. Like, hey, we can shoot in this forest, so let's create a horror story, and we'll base it on these things, and then we'll throw in all these little things I thought were cool in these movies. Like we'll have the hand coming over your shoulder. It's not her, and
Oh,
we're gonna do
God,
this
yeah.
demon's
Mhm.
ladder head shaking thing. We're gonna make sounds of the trees and all these different things, and it's like none of it works as well as it does
No.
in the original films.
Yeah.
And then you base it around these really lame conversations that don't really. They're supposed to be kind of like fleshing out these characters, but you don't really care about them, and you just see they're just horrible individuals that have no real chemistry at all. So why are these people together? So it's just so many elements don't really work in this film.
They don't. But I did like the fact that he could see things and she didn't see them, and then she could hear things and he couldn't hear them.
He couldn't.
But
Mhm.
then they broke those rules. Like once the tree screamed at both of them, then they both could hear and see things, and that totally took that uniqueness out the window. And then then I didn't know what the rules. What are the rules? What are we supposed to be doing here? So it failed in that aspect.
Well,
too.
that and it sets up the whole whoever that guy is at the very beginning. I kind of like, oh, this is gonna have a monster in it. I'm like,
Yeah.
and then even the poster you showed has like a bear trap. There's no bear trap in this movie.
I wish
Mm-mm.
there was.
Weird.
Yeah.
I was expecting a monster or something, and the only monster is the dialogue and the bad acting.
Whoa. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and wrap this up, and let's give a score 1 to 5. And
Oof.
Dave, you take some time and consider this. And our favorite scene. So Jeff Mohr, you're up first.
Well, I've got a number in my head.
Want to share that number with us?
Yeah, it looks a lot like a 1.5.
Mm.
And my favorite scene, again, like I just didn't like. I think I since I get to go first, I'm gonna take the first whatever you want to call it, stump creature or whatever, was a little bit eerie when it was sort of spooky looking, but then when they're from that point on, we end up at some point, isn't there like a council of stump people in a circle around them? It just, I don't know. It didn't, and they weren't, okay, I'll stop. I'm getting off track of the ending here. But there's a lot of weird scenes where they're trying to make you think something's happening, but it's not,
Mhm.
like we're moving the camera and trying to make you think that the trees and the branches and stuff are intertwining and grabbing stuff, and they're not, and it was a nice try, but
There you go.
for
I-
low budget.
I'm going to shake things up. Dave, you're next. What is your score? in
That's
your favorite scene?
crazy. Yeah, I'm going to give us a 1. We recorded 2 podcasts tonight. Both of them got a 1. This
I'm going to get hateful emails
this
from
falls
you.
into the same
I feel
category.
bad now.
I'm giving it a 1 because they managed to get it made, but this is
Oh,
a
Dave,
an
Dave.
empty. This is just it's a hollow bullet. There's nothing there. The characters are unlikable. We don't see anything we haven't seen before. Yeah, it's there. It's a movie. She has a really nice yellow raincoat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I
there's
did
that.
like the yellow raincoat. Mhm.
You got a favorite
Um,
scene? Favorite scene, sir?
The favorite scene, just because it made me laugh so hard, was when she's trying to crawl towards her supposed
Oh, yeah.
fiance, and we get that stick man with the stump head. Yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. I literally laughed out loud. My wife yelled downstairs and goes, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "You don't want to know. Trust me."
You don't want to know.
So yeah.
All right.
Next.
Next, Crystal. Your score and your favorite scene, please.
Okay. So I'm going to give it a 1.75.
Yes, you
Okay,
can. You
so
just
but
did.
let me tell you,
When did you
had-
become the nice one, Crystal?
Yeah, I know. Right? Like, had this been like what I thought, and it would have been like their first feature, I would have given it a 2.5 just for being, kind of okay. But nah, third feature, no, you're not gonna get that sort of grace from me on this one, you person who made this.
Yikes! I can't wait. What's your favorite scene?
When she beat him, obviously. Like, that was my favorite scene easily. Clearly, I was like, "Take that rock, girl. Get him. Get him." Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that
Yes.
was it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Christopher G.
Yay.
Moore. Oh my gosh, sir. What is your score and your favorite scene? Bring out the fear.
Bring out the beer.
Bring out the fear.
I'll give it a 1.5.
Oh.
See, yeah,
Oh.
not good.
I mean, it's not. I mean, there is some competency in its creation, but there's not a lot there. It doesn't work. There's not a lot to pick from. There's nothing to pick from actually, but I'm gonna have to steal part of Crystal's thing because
Sure.
I think when she sticks that thing in his eye.
Oh yeah.
I think when she finally takes him out, that was one of the reliefs
Yeah.
of this film was knowing that characters are finally going to die and like this film could end. Yeah, so that scene.
That scene. All right. Yeah, I'm going to give this movie a 2. That's what I wrote down. Yikes. Yeah, it's just the biggest thing that for me is that it pissed me off with the dream within a dream. That always rubs me the wrong way, and then the false ending also rubbed me the wrong way. So it just and the dialogue. So I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to shut up. But I did enjoy when she was and this is going to be ironic, since I said it broke the rules. When she kept hearing the trees talk to her, right? And she's like, "Don't you hear this? Don't you hear this?" And then when he leans over and he finally hears it screams, and they're both
I like that one too.
So I enjoyed that aspect of it until I started thinking, until they kind of like, okay, now they can both do both of it, and then I was like, oh wait, that kind of pissed me off. But I did enjoy that particular scene.
Me too. I think that was a good one. Because I was actually thinking about that one too. I was like, I did kind of like that first scream because the first time you hear it, it's kind of spoopy. It's like, rawr.
Yeah.
Yeah, rawr.
Yeah.
One of the few
Keeps on-
things that actually worked in the film was that the sound design in that specific part or those parts.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. That's our review of Bring Out the Fear. It's out there on VOD. Check it out and let us know what you think in the comments down below. Ouch.
Yeah.
It's this
Yeah,
okay.
I'm
Yours
sure-
yours going to get better from here. It's going to get better from here.
Oh, I'm sure people might see
January.
something in this that we might not see. You never know.
Could. It
It's all
could.
subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm
sir.
sure people. There's always a market for bad horror for someone.
There's always a reason for the red balloon. All right, Jeff, Dave, Christopher, Crystal, thank you for joining us. An in-joke. Sorry, you have to go way back to figure that one out. Thank you for joining me. This was still a lot of fun.
Always fun.
Always
Yeah,
Won't
love
won't
talking
go
with
out in the
you guys.
woods.
All right, don't go in the woods. All right, let's
I'd
say
love to
goodnight.
have people along with my misery.
There you go.
So
Share
long.
them in- Let's get out of here.
Good
Say
night.
goodnight.
Good
See ya.
night.
Adios.
Gruesome Magazine.